everybody, welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 225 in year 5, and it is the new year. I'm recording this on January 3rd, 2024. I hope everybody that's listening to this had a great holiday, happy new year, and all of that jazz. Hopefully you got some good Christmas gifts if you celebrate, and hopefully your new year hasn't started out crappy, you know? Hopefully you weren't one of those people out there that blows off their hand with fireworks, because that's never a good time, and there's always somebody that does it every single year. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, in typical Batman news fashion, we're starting off the year with nothing. Actually, I don't know if that's typical news. I just had to say something, okay? I do want to say that if the audio sounds different, or maybe there's some popping or some randomness, I got a new mic, I should say I'm finally able to use a mic that I've had for a really long time. It's an XLR mic. Apparently the quality is supposed to be better. I don't really know. It's made by the same brand. I think both mics sound great, so you be the judge. But just in case anything seems weird, it is the first time I'm recording a full-length podcast with it, so hopefully everything goes really well. But with that said, there's really only one bit of news that I saw come across my radar. If a lot of y'all didn't watch the last episode, which a few of y'all didn't, hey, I totally get it. It was a review episode, but we did actually have a topic and viewer questions in it. So in case you want something else to listen to, I talked about how the Matt Reeves verse, there was all these villains that were coming out that were apparently going to be in Batman 2, and James Gunn debunked that. So if you want to hear that, go listen to the last podcast. Before I get into the only bit of news that we have, I do want to it is the new year. There's a bunch of people. This is a time when everybody's like, New Year's resolutions, my goals for 2024. If you follow the new channel, you know that I dropped my predictions video already for 2024. Bunch of crazy stuff that I think is going to happen, or I'm predicting to happen. And I'm also going to be dropping a goals video sometime next week. Just wanted to separate both of those. But with the new year upon us, I want to actually, we should have a goal for Batman News Weekly, okay? We've been doing this channel on YouTube for a really long time, and I think it's time we finally get it to 500 subscribers. That will allow us to get some type of monetization on the channel. We still need to get to 1,000 to get actual ads and stuff like that. And maybe people are like, I'm not going to fucking subscribe because I don't want no damn ads. But we would hope that you, help out the podcast. Hit that subscribe button a little bit. But I am going to ask, if you have never subscribed to the YouTube, if you have a YouTube channel and you've never subscribed to the channel because maybe you listen to us on Spotify or Apple or anywhere else, please drop a sub on the podcast. If you've been listening for a while, we do really want to get to 500 subscribers this year. We're currently at 351. So we only need less than 150. So I'd really appreciate it. If you don't have a YouTube channel, if you have a Gmail account, it is so easy to make a YouTube channel. If you're already signed into Gmail, just go to YouTube. It'll have an icon in the middle. Just click on that and it'll say, do you want to start a channel? Bada bing, bada boom. Hit that subscribe button on Batman News Weekly. But anyways, that's the last bit of promo for the podcast that I'm going to do. And we're going to move on to the only news of the week. And that was this little bit of news we got about Batman the Caped Crusader. Remember that show that Amazon bought and we haven't really heard anything about? Well, we finally got some news. And it is that it is described as a very different to Batman the Animated Series, including more visual violence and noir-like tone. Now, that sounds awesome, right? Ooh, yeah, Batman beating up people and the noir detective thing all sounds great. I'm curious. I think we did find out that, who was it? Is it Ed Brubaker that is the head writer behind this? I'm down for that. Love that, because I want to say a long time ago he said he was done with DC or he was done with Batman, but then they offered him this and he was like, all right, I'm coming back. Which, why wouldn't you, right? Long as Bruce Timm is not the main person in charge, I'm down. Because I don't know if this is true or not. I think they're buddies. Maybe they're not buddies. But I often do feel like Bruce Timm, because everything was his designs and his visions back in the day. I'm curious if he was ever like, I can write a good story. Because everybody was always talking about how Paul Dini had all the best stories, which were true, So I'm curious because I don't think I've heard that Paul Dini is attached to this in any way. I hope he does a couple of episodes, if at at least, because I mean, come on, it's Paul fucking Dini. But we'll see what happens. I am just very curious on. I want a trailer. Like we've been waiting a really long time for this, but I am excited to see that it's gonna apparently more visual violence. I think by that it is Amazon, so Amazon's cool with. I mean, Amazon in The Boys 3 had people fucking go inside of a penis or whatever the hell they did, or a penis exploded on people or whatever the fuck. It was crazy. They just had some crazy shit happening on The Boys. And well, so visual violence, like if Batman's like beaten in skulls or something like that, I'll be very curious, breaking some bones and whatnot. That's what I'm expecting. The noir-like tone, I'm down for it. I'm down for it. And I think it's smart to differ from the Batman the Animated Series because you're never going to be the Batman the Animated Series. You're not going to be Kevin Conroy. Like, I mean, also Mark Hamill as Joker. It's that whole cast is iconic. So it's best to differ from it, not to try to, what is the word? Oh my God, adapt it? No, I don't know. I'm missing the word right now. But you know what I mean? Basically, don't copy it. Like, it's better just to do your own thing. And so I'm excited to see what it is. I will say I'm still not a big fan of the ears they're going with here. They have the weird, like, curvy spike ears. They kind of, like, flare out. I've never been a big fan of that bat cow. It is iconic. I will agree with that. But I've just never been a big fan of it personally. I think I've grown really attached to short, not the Dark Knight short ears, but I'm talking about like medium ears. Because there's like really long pointy ear Batman. I'm a fan of like middle of the pack Batman ears. Like I don't want them to too long. I don't want them too short. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Anyways, so yeah, that is what you can expect. That is all the little bit of news that I've seen. I was looking through things and I didn't see anything else pop up. I will check Twitter one more time to see if anything comes up. But from my understanding, there really wasn't anything. Let's see. Wait, hold on. Margot Robbie talks about passing Harley Quinn to other actors. What is this? Hold on. I'm just seeing this right now. This came out today. Could Margot Robbie's... I'm reading this from Batman News. Could Margot Robbie's time as Harley Quinn be coming to an end? It certainly seems that she may be ready to say goodbye to the clown princess of crime. In a Variety profile that focuses on Lucky Chap Entertainment Productions, Margot was asked, "Are you hanging up Harley's bat now that Lady Gaga is playing the character in the upcoming Joker?" I always wanted Harley to be a character that would get passed on to other actresses to play. That way, the way there are so many many iconic male characters. That was always the dream for her. She added, "Harley's so fun and can go in so many different directions. You put her in someone else's hands and it's like, what are you going to do with her? The options are endless." Yada, 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 yada. Well, that doesn't really say anything. So yeah, I guess there's not really much to that. I think they just asked her that. I think Margot Robbie still wants to play Harley Quinn, but there's no telling what could really happen, right? Because, she just had $1 billion movie with Barbie. She's probably getting offered a whole bunch of other roles. And yeah, maybe she doesn't want to, maybe she's like, oh, I had my DC and now it's time for somebody new. So we'll see. I do hope she comes back. I mean, John Cena's coming back. James Gunn is in the lead or the head of everything now. So I don't see why she would. She seemed to enjoy working with them. So we'll see what happens. But that was some other news right there. Is Margot Robbie going to hang up the Harley Quinn bat? I hope not. I really enjoy Margot Robbie. I think she's amazing. And I hope she continues being Harley. But, they're kind of rebooting everything. I don't know, man. You need to keep somebody big, like a Margot Robbie. Because you're really only going to have John Cena be the only returning person and James Gunn's wife. Like, you gotta keep some people over from the old guard, you know what I mean? But we'll see what happens. Anyways, with those two bits of news out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go over to viewer questions, which since, we don't have too many from the last video, but we did get one in the Discord from Arwitz who says, for the DCU, who would you want to see as the first villains to go up against the Justice League? I want to see a villain. I don't want multiple villains because that's That's kind of the problem I think a lot of these movies do is they think you need to have multiple villains to take on the Justice League, where the Justice League is like that team comes together for world-ending threats. You know what I mean? You don't need to have a bunch of villains unless you're doing Doom's Legion of Doom. It's the only time that you want a bunch of villains going against the Justice League is the Legion of Doom. And I think if you're gonna do movies like that, then that's like Justice League versus Legion of Doom, Justice League versus Suicide Squad, stuff like that. I think we'll get Justice League versus Suicide Squad as like the second movie. I think if they are going to do like multiple Justice Leagues, because I think people would just love that. Especially if you keep Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie around, right? She can star in that movie. It would be a huge blockbuster hit. But it also could be her jumping ship to being a good guy too, if she wanted to. So that would be an interesting take on the character. But I do think Brainiac has to be the first. You know, I think that's got to be. I don't know, that's like a Superman level character to fight, but also since he's able to, manipulate things and stuff, like I think you can cause a big havoc for a lot of the Justice League. So I think Brainiac has to be number one in my book. Because I don't want to do Darkseid. I mean, Zack Snyder, I think, kind of fucked that up. So you don't want to just... Because then you open up the doors to like, oh, well, you're just copying Zack Snyder now, because people are going to say that. So you have to go with somebody completely new. I think you go with Brainiac. It also might help out with the Suicide Squad game, depending on how the sales do for that. But if people are hyped about Brainiac, they might be like, oh, we could play a game with Brainiac in it and just do something along those lines too. So, yeah, I think Brainiac would be my first choice. After that, I would love to see them take on the Suicide Squad because that would be more of a, quote unquote grounded, type of movie. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be, I think I would go Brainiac. That's the only person right now that's like really ingrained in my mind that needs to be, in a movie. Okay, next up we got over on the YouTubes, we got Alexis Barrera that says, I remember you asking what we want to see on the channel, and what I can think of is reading horrible Batman R34, uncensored on Patreon, okay, playing Batman Minecraft, it has boss battles, and use shorts to showcase sus listener questions plus answers. You know what, like, I'll be honest with you. I am very, very swamped with the new channel, and that is kind of the reason why you haven't seen a lot of new content on Batman News Weekly. I was really hoping that, with Clay on board, we'd be able to get a lot more content, and he did put out some content for a bit, but with his whole move and everything, it's just that whole system died. So hopefully that'll be back on. I will definitely try to make content myself in the future to put out some more content here. It's just trying to get everything going. So at the moment, I'll see what I can do when I have some free time. So this is something I think we had a question from Arwentz last week that was saying, like, what's something you want to learn in the new year or want to take advantage of? And, like, organization is, like, my hugest thing that I learned in 2023 that I want to apply to 2024. I am trying to get, like, so far in advance. Like, as far as I can go in my job, I want, like, things to be scheduled, planned out. Like, I want to know, 2 or 3 months in advance what we're doing, if possible. That way I can start using all this time to focus on the new channel. And once I get the new channel rolling to where I'm like, there's a video dropping every week and there's like maybe like a short or two as well, then I'm like, okay, once that is solidified, I can start dropping some Batman News Weekly content. And every once in a while, what I want to do is I want to, like, usually Thursday is Batman News Weekly Day. Since I've been recording the podcast by myself, I usually kind of record them Wednesday night so I can have Thursday free. But I do want to get to a point where once I know the podcast is ready to go for Thursday, then I can use the rest of Thursday to maybe make a short or something. But yeah, I think sus listener questions, if I could, like, I think a lot of shorts also matter, like, visually. So if I can get some, like, visual stuff going, I think that would be funny. Also, Batman R34 for uncensored for Patreon would be interesting. It's another reason why I'm hoping people will subscribe to Batman News Weekly, is because what we can do, and I don't know if we can necessarily do it uncensored, on YouTube. But when we could actually get to a point where like we have memberships on YouTube. And with those paid memberships, there can be exclusive content for members only, which I think would be kind of cool, and it could be kind of content like that. So I think it'd be really nice. But, we got to get monetized first. So that's what I'm saying. If you're out there, if you have a YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it because, we cannot get any type of monetization until we hit 500. And I believe that's like access to memberships and like tips and stuff like that. But other than that, we can't really do much until that happens. Batman Minecraft, you were like not the first person to suggest that. A lot of people suggest that. I've never been a huge Minecraft person. The first time I ever really started playing Minecraft was with a friend of mine and another friend of mine. The other friend of mine, the second one, fucking sucks. He can go die in a fire. Terrible human being. Terrible human being. Did dastardly things. Fuck that person. So I've never really been a big Minecraft person. So yeah, that's kind of one of those things. But I'm always down to try Batman stuff. Always trying to do crazy stuff like that. So I think it would be interesting. I'm down to try anything Batman related on this channel. I think that's what this channel's for. But it's all about just getting the time to do it all. If I wasn't having to edit a lot of this stuff and I could just do the voices and somebody else was editing, I think that would be great too. But we'll see. Maybe, maybe in the future, if I still gotta like keep doing this all on my own, maybe I'll see who's interested in making content and maybe we'll go down that road. That's not anytime soon, but just saying, if you're a video editor out there in the future, maybe I'd be down if you want to just help out. But again, we gotta get these memberships going or something. We gotta get some subs up in here. So maybe we could pay an editor in the future to do this for us. But anyways, moving on to Eduardo de la Cruz says, Riddler, what goes into an alley and has holes in it? Batman, my parents? Riddler, what the fuck? No. Who would win? Dog Wielder versus Ace the Bat Hound. Matter Eater Lad versus Condiment King. Oh, we're bringing Condiment King back. Oh, God. Batman versus Ant-Man. We had to bring back Condiment King, huh? I forgot. What did we do that Condiment King, finally, I think we finally picked Condiment King. I don't remember what that was. But anyways, freaking, let's see. Dog Wielder versus Ace the Bat Hound. I think I would go Ace the Bat Hound. I mean, but he is a dog. He's a dog welder. I think Ace would be able to upper hand Dog Welder. Matter Eater Lad versus Condiment King. Okay. I don't know, man. I personally would be more scared of somebody that eats metal than Condiment King. So I'm gonna go Matter Eater Lad there. And Batman versus Ant-Man. Look, man, I think Batman could beat anybody, but Ant-Man has what was that meme that was going around that, the way the Avengers are going to beat Thanos is by Ant-Man just going up his butt and then expanding. He's got that in his back pocket the whole time, man. Although Batman's suit is probably fucking airtight. He probably also has a contingency plan for that, knowing Batman. But I think, I'll pick Batman in every other aspect. But if Ant-Man can pull off the Thanos booty meme, I think Ant-Man would win that one. Moving on to Nathan, who says, what new villain sounds most interesting? Throwback, a Gotham 80s supervillain that is unfrozen in present day and uses various 80s styles gadgets. That's intriguing. I like that. Deathzilla, insane heavy metal rock star turned serial killer, uses rock-themed weapons, victim screams as music. Okay. Bubble Buster, or Burster, metahuman that shoots bubbles, or any material, of any material touched, such as Joker Toxin, Fear Toxin, Lazarus Water, you name it. Huh. Interesting. I love Throwback. That just seems like such a fun character. Deathzilla, I think the idea is interesting of heavy metal rock star. I don't know if I like the name though. But I kind of like the idea of uses different rock-themed weapons, victim screams as music. That's, I think, an intriguing concept. I think Bubble Burster is probably the worst one, but I could see being like a flavor of the week type villain. But I think I like Throwback, man. I think I really enjoy Throwback. I like the idea of a Gotham's 80s supervillain that is unfrozen. It's like Encino Man. Anybody that remembers that movie from, I don't, early 90s? I want to say it's the 90s. It's when Pauly Shore was popping and stuff. So I'm going to say kind of like Encino Man. I'm kind of down with that. Last one, we got Moncray, who says, what questions would you ask Red Hood if he was on the podcast? Red Hood on the podcast, I just ask him what his deal is, man. Like, pick your fucking lane. You gonna be a good guy or a bad guy? Like, why do you gotta constantly, like, flip-flop? And also, what happened with that Barbara stuff? Like, bro, she's like your brother's girl. Why are you trying to, like, get up in that, you know? I'd ask him, like, what his deal is. Because that dude's always constantly just doing the most sus crap. Like, for real. Like, I think everybody has that friend. You're just like, bro, really? Like, what are you doing? That is Red Hood, in my opinion. So I would just ask him, what's your fucking deal, bro? That's what I would legit ask Red Hood. With that last question, okay. But moving on from that, ladies and gentlemen, we only have one book this week to talk about, and that is Batman 141. This is Mind Bomb Part 3. If you don't remember the last book we talked about, Batman, it was just revealed that Failsafe is now, like, the mind of Zur-En Raw is inside Failsafe. Like, that was the last big dramatic thing that happened. There was also Joker. Batman was chasing after Joker. Joker tried to kill Batman's old mentor, yada yada. I think I had a little bit of praise for the last issue looking cool with all the dollhouses and stuff like that. And it was one of those stories that, had he done this right when he started his Batman run, because this would have, like, happened right after his story that he did with, you know, Knight's Fall or whatever that, I don't even know what the hell that story was called. I might have cared, but it's gotten to the point, man, with Zdarsky that, like, it doesn't even matter what he does in his books because I just don't care. Like, I've lost complete interest. Like, I was reading this book and it's just more of the same. It's Batman fighting Failsafe, trying to get away from Failsafe, trying to outsmart Failsafe, and ultimately losing. Like, we already had a whole arc of this. So why do I care now? Because it's Zur-En Raw inside Failsafe? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, Failsafe beat Batman's ass previously, and we already had Batman go to the moon and do all of this crazy stuff to try to escape Failsafe, and he couldn't. And then Failsafe sent him to another fucking universe. And so, like, that's insane. But now we're doing it again? Like, I don't know. Like, anyways, this whole book is, I don't want to say a nothing burger, but it is just a big fight scene again. There is this one moment when Batman escapes, and if you're in the Discord, you saw me post this, but I found out one way you never draw Batman, right? I've always said you never show Batman with his eyes. Like, you don't ever show his eyes in the cowl because it looks so silly. My new thing is you don't show Batman jumping around like an anime character. Or I don't even know if this is anime. It's very cartoony. But there's this one panel where Batman jumps out of a window, and instead of showing the cool progressive shots where, like, you know, they'll show him flipping and, like, jumping off something or grappling hooking to get to a place, this one just has, like, the line trail. You know how, like, if a bunny's going boink, 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 and it has the little, like, white line to show you every little hop they did? They did that with Batman, and it looks so comical. Like, if you've ever played the game Speedrunners, he looks like the character from Speedrunners, like the main mascot character. And it just looks, I laughed. Like, I literally laughed when I saw that panel. And, like, he gets in a car and he tries to take off, and you know, of course, he knows Failsafe isn't going to get there. Failsafe catches up to him, yada yada. We get this break in between. The thief woman broke into the clock tower, so Barbara's there. She's like, you know her. And Dick Grayson's like, "Yo, so and so, like, how you been?" And she's like, "Oh, Grayson, you look way better than Bruce," and yada yada. And she's telling him how Bruce has gotten dark, and he's not like you, and he's not the person she once knew, yada yada. Same old that we've constantly heard a million times. We go back to Batman outsmarting Failsafe for a little bit. He goes, he comes up with this thing where, like, I have to think not like myself. Failsafe would think I'm going back to Gotham to get help, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back to where we started because he won't expect it. And so Batman goes back and he gets some gadgets. Of course, Failsafe figures that out, and he's all like, "You can't hide from me. Like, I know you need your toys, yada yada." And then there's a big, like, Batman versus like, Batman has, like, he put a little bit of armor on. He has these, like, basically lightsaber claws, essentially, to fight with, these big lightsaber swords. And, he knows he can't beat Failsafe. He's just trying to buy time. And so as he's trying to destroy Failsafe, he's, like, cutting trees down. They're falling on him. And then eventually, he loses. Like, that's just all it is. Like, that was always the end game, right? And there's banter back and forth, but it's just Failsafe being like, "I'm the perfect you. Like, I'll continue this. This was always inevitable. Your flesh human body was going to give up." And you do have some lines in there of, like, Bruce being like, "Failsafe's arrogant because he knows he's indestructible, but I know how to, like, outwit things, yada yada." It was a lot of that. But again, not a lot of substance in this book. And it all leads to, and I really hate when writers do this, but I guess it's kind of what you need to do in comics. I don't know. I cannot say I ever felt, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong for people that have read this. I didn't feel like King did this in his run, and I don't think Ram V did it in his Catwoman run, but people setting up, like, it feels like a story is just a setup for a big event. Like, I remember in King's run, I mean, I guess you could say that for the wedding, but the wedding actually played a part in King's story. Like, it was a story element, it was a story beat, whereas, like, Tynan, he did all of the crap to lead up to Joker War. Like, that was always his thing. I don't want to say his end game, but it felt like he just did a bunch of stuff so he could do Joker War. And then everything else after Joker War didn't really matter. Like, it was a bunch of, like, "Oh, they're taking over the city, yada yada." Like, yeah, sure, it all intertwined in some way, but it didn't really feel like, it just felt like separate events, not like a long, full story, which I felt like King did really well in his run, but I could be wrong. Anyways, what ends up happening here is this big fight leads to Batman waking up again, because remember, in the previous issue, he woke up from his bed to realize that Failsafe was there. So Batman loves waking up in beds. Also, if you actually think about it, he's woken up in beds a lot of Zdarsky's run. He woke up in Atlantis in a bed. He woke up in, well, he didn't wake up in a bed when he got transferred to another dimension, but woke up in an alley. Like, a lot of waking up in beds. Batman's very sleepy. So, just want to say that. But Batman wakes up in a bed. He's like, "Where am I?" He's like, "No windows. We got to be very far deep. Is this Failsafe's or Zur-En Ra's lair?" And then you hear "Good morning, sunshine." And it's Joker. And a Joker that's beaten up. A Joker that is wearing, like, a full vest and neck brace. And he's like, "Oh yeah, Zur-En Ra did a number on me." And Bruce is like, "Where does this go, Joker? Like, how do you know about Zur? How do you know about my mentors? How do you know about all of that? Like, tell me how you're involved." And it leads to the last panel that's like, "You know what, Brucey? I think I'll do exactly that." And then it just says, "Joker, year 1. So as I was saying, it felt like all of this is just to lead up to year 1. Like, Joker wasn't a player in this whole story. Like, Failsafe and Zur-En Ra have always been the main catalyst of the story, right? But Joker, not necessary. Zdarsky is shoehorning Joker in here because Joker sells. I gotta have my own Joker event. And now look, I think I've been on the record of this, right? I think we need a break from Joker. I think Joker needs to go in the vault for like 5 years so we can miss him, and then when he comes back, we're like, oh, do you remember all the good Joker stories? But if DC fires Zdarsky and was all like, all right, Juice, we want you to write Batman for the next 100 issues, I'm gonna fucking do a Joker story, okay? Like, that's because he's that iconic, right? I would be a hypocrite in that sense. I will openly admit it, because I think everybody has a Joker story to tell. Like, I genuinely think that. Even if you're just a fan, you probably thought of an idea before where you're like, oh, it would be cool if Joker does this. I think it's just because he's that good of a character. I think everybody probably has a Batman story too. You know, doesn't mean that it's good. Doesn't that? I think we can say that for a lot of people, right? And we have professional writers doing stories with these characters, and they're not that great sometimes. But I think everybody has a story for Batman and Joker. So either way, looks like we're building to Zdarsky's Joker event, and we've talked about this before. It is going to be a 3-part, I think it's like over the next 3 weeks, or it's going to be 3 weeks in a row, if I'm not mistaken, instead of like 3 months in a row. So very interesting to see. I don't know if this is going to be next week and then the following and then the following, or if it's next month and then 3 weeks in a row. But that's what's going to happen. Is Joker Year 1 is what this is going to build to. I don't care. I'm going to call it right now, since I already kind of called the Zur and Raw stuff, right? I'm going to say that Joker, which this wouldn't make sense, Joker has been, I don't know, he was like one of Batman's like training partners or disciples or some bullshit. Like, the way he knows every single one of Batman's villains or whatever, it's because like he was there. Like, that's why he's able to fight everybody. That's why he's able to survive. It's because he was also like a student of all of these people. Or I can see that. That's a little far-fetched. Or hear me out. It's because, and I think this is actually going to be this one makes more sense. It's gonna be, you know, because there's a backstory. I haven't even talked about this yet. There is a backstory talking about how Zur Ra was able to put himself inside of Failsafe, and for whatever reason, again, this doesn't really make sense, y'all. Zur Ra put his mind into Failsafe, and when he did that, he was able to connect with all of the other Batmen from other universes. You know how, you know, when Batman skipped through all of the universes, and then at the very end of that issue, he created a bunch of Zur Ra's from all the other worlds? That's how it's supposed to play out. You think that they're created because he jumped through all those universes. Well, apparently he unlocks the way to talk to all of them through Failsafe. How that's possible, I don't know. Now, if I'm imagining this correctly, I can assume that this does happen after the Universal thing, because I'm trying to make headcanon of this, and I'm trying to approach this from where I think Zdarsky wants me to understand it from. This would happen after jumping universes, so Zur Ra is still created by Batman jumping through all the universes, and when he's hooking up Failsafe in this area to update his mind, it's in a moment where Bruce is not in control. And so Zur Ra is in control, and he's updating this hive mind or whatever. And what we end up finding out is, you know what, actually that's exactly what it is, because I just looked at some more panels and it makes sense. So, but what doesn't make sense is how him updating his mind to Zur Ra, how Zur Ra updating his mind to Failsafe also brought in all of the other Zur Ra's from the other universes. It just doesn't make sense, and that's what we talked about in the previous issue or issues beyond that, when Batman was fighting inside his own mind. How is he connected to every freaking Zur Ra, or every Batman mind in the universe? So, with Zdarsky wanting you to believe that Batman somehow can connect to every other Batman in the universe via his mind, Joker, we know that that Zdarsky wants you to believe that the first Joker was created on his weird-ass planet, you know? That weird Joker that also has reverse flash powers or whatever. He wants you to believe that that guy, I forgot his fucking name, that guy started and created every Joker in every universe. He is the fucking, what is it? Essentially, he's the Big Bang. He started every Joker. And so I think that that character is going to come back somehow, or that the Joker on this planet somehow has been able to connect his hive mind to see every other experience that Bruce has ever had, or whatever. You know what I mean? Something like that. It's going to be something crazy. I would assume I would I would put more money on that theory than the previous theory of, you know, Joker's been, you know, he's always been around Bruce. He's been training him from day one or whatever. But the one thing I can tell you for a fact is I don't care. I genuinely don't. Like, I read this because, you know, we've been, you could say it at this point, hate reading this. But, I mean, I don't even think it's hate reading, because if it was hate reading, I would never, ever praise Zdarsky. And there was some praise in the last issue. You know, I will always say good things about George. Well, his art. I wasn't a big fan of George's writing. But for the most part, you know, the book always looks great. But I just wasn't, I don't know, man. I just don't care. And I think that's the worst thing as a writer somebody can say, is they don't care about the product. Because a hate watcher or a hate reader is still, you're still getting their attention. And as long as you got somebody's attention, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter if they love it or hate it. You know, haters are going to talk shit. But the point is, they're maybe still buying your book to hate on it if they're ethical haters. You know, we like ethical haters. You know, you're still supporting comics, you're still buying the book you hate. If you buy a book, honestly, I think if you spend your own money on something, you can talk all the shit you want about it. I think that's fair game. You know what I mean? I paid hard-earned money for this. I can give my opinion. I think that is a fair statement. Nobody has to listen to it, but I think you have the option to do so. But yeah, I don't know. But I think that's, I don't know. Somebody has definitely said that before. I don't know if it was in wrestling or not, but whether you want people to either love you or hate you. Because if they don't, then you're nothing. You're boring. And I don't think anybody wants to be boring, right? So, you know, I will say Zdarsky at least has me in that vein. Well, had me, I should say, because like I said, I don't care anymore. I think it's just boring. I'm like, bro, I've seen it. You've done it. I mean, you're telling the same story over and over. Like, give me something I haven't seen before. And he's giving me just fail-safe fights again. I don't care. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens in Joker Year 1. I've already made my predictions. If you have a prediction for what's going to happen in Joker Year 1, let me know. Drop it in the comment section of YouTube after you subscribe, of course. But yeah, that is all we got for this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Small podcast to start out the year. Wasn't a lot of Batman news. There is, you know, Superman Legacy is gearing up to start filming later this year. James Gunn said all the costumes are being worked on. Everything's, you know, plane tickets are bought. All that, you know, actors are memorizing lines. So that thing's about to get going. Hopefully, when that starts filming, we'll also start getting some Batman DCU news and maybe some stuff about Arkham Asylum and whatnot, since that is, you know, it's in production, like writing, pre-production, I should say. So maybe some stuff will come out for that as well. But that is going to be it for this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'm going to probably for the first few weeks hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. And, you know, also if you're on Spotify, if there's like likes or favorites or anything you can do on that, that always helps out too. But I appreciate everybody listening to the podcast. I wish everybody an amazing new year going forward. I hope we all have amazing years and everybody's successful, everybody's doing what they want in life, and everybody's having good health and all that jazz. And if you don't have good health at the moment, I hope you get better going forward. But that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I am Juice Wayne, and remember, Batman is awesome.
News Weekly.